Well, we already seen in some passages where being Jewish or Israelite or Hebrew was something that was frowned upon and people wanted to change. This is not the Jewish feast day. It is Yahweh's Pesach, his Passover. Now, the 14th of Abib, again, is the first observance given to Israel. The blood of the Pesach offering serves to protect Israel from the angel of death. So let's go down to Exodus 12 and verse 13, which states, "And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are." We're going to look at that term token in a minute. "And when I see the blood, I will pass over you." And that's where you get the whole idea of Pesach or passing over. It is connected to a sign, which is the blood. Question to all my Hebrews and my Israelites and my Jewish brothers and sisters out there who do not accept the New Testament: what does this mean for you Old Testament believers out there? Okay, is it just a memorial? And we're going to look at that as well. Remembering this exodus from Egypt, or does it point to something that would be much greater? So, the term token, we actually took a look at that word already. It's the same term that's used and translated as sign when the scripture says that Shabbat in Exodus or Shemot chapter 31, that Shabbat would be a sign. You find it in number 226 in your Strong's. Okay, the word once again is awuth, and what it means, a signal. Okay, and again, when you look at the parent root, the word awuth is spelled aleph, ual, thal, but the parent root is the aleph and thal, which again is strong sign, powerful marker. So, "and the blood shall be to you for a strong sign." See? Let's continue. Exodus 12 verse 14. "And this day," now what day? We're talking about the 14th of Abib. "And this day shall be unto you for a memorial." Now the word memorial related to another term we looked at. The term is zikrun. Okay, which is derived from the other word, zakar, which we took a look at. Okay, zakar, which is number 2142 in your Strong's if you want to research it. So, verse 14 again, "And this day shall be unto you for a memorial," something to remember, something to open your head and contain in your mind. "And ye shall keep it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations." You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. And again, the question that all believers have to ask themselves: why does Yahweh want this feast to be a memorial? Now, there are other memorials that he said throughout the scriptures, you know, but with each one, we have to ask that question. But right now, we're talking about Pesach. So why? So let's turn to Matthew chapter 26 and verse 19. And we're going to tie some things into this. And again, for those who don't accept the New Testament, here's the question. Why is it wrong? Why do you believe it's wrong? When it does not contradict anything that is taught in the writings of Moshe or any other prophet. But let's read it. "And the Talmudim, or the disciples, did as Yahushua had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover." So that's just to let us know that at this particular time, Passover, Pesach, was coming up. Now, in Matthew chapter 27 and verse 1, it states, "When the morning was come," very important, because this took place, remember, the day begins in the evening and followed by the daylight period. So there was evening and there was morning, and you have a day. So it states here, "When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Yahushua to put him to death. And keep in mind, this happened on the 14th of Abib, Pesach. Didn't have to. They didn't even realize that they were fulfilling prophecy. But let's continue. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 6 is what we want to do. We want to fill in the blanks again. We stopped when it mentioned keeping this particular lamb up to the 14th day. So, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Now, this is where it is very important to learn the Hebrew language. Not so much that we can speak it verbally. If you want to do that, that's your choice. But more so we can go back behind the scenes and see exactly what was said. Because in this verse, in the English translation, it doesn't bring out what it mentions in the Hebrew. So what it states in the Hebrew, and search this out for those who are familiar with the language, it said, Bin ha-arba'im. Bin, which means between, and then you had ha-arba'im, which is the evenings, period. Plural. So instead, a better translation should be, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it between the evenings. What evening? With the sunset which began the 14th of Abib and the sunset which takes us into the 15th of Abib. So now it mentions in Matthew 27:1 when the morning was come, because Yahushua was actually executed between the evenings. Because he was, as Yuchanan HaMetabil, or John the Baptist proclaimed, the Lamb who taketh away the sins of the world. The same Lamb that Abraham said, hold up, son, Yahweh will provide himself a lamb. Research those passages prayerfully. But let's continue, because we're taking a look at some of the holy days that the Most High has given us, and we're just trying to discover the significance and the importance as to why we should even this day observe them. So let's continue in Exodus chapter 12 and verse 15. Now we're going to take a look at what comes up after Pesach, which is the initial day to kick off the whole observance of festivals. Chag HaMatzot, or Feast of Unleavened Bread. So in verse 15 it states, 7 days, again, pointing to Shabbat, pointing to the first week of creation, which is the foundation upon which every other feast day is based. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven from out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Okay? Basically what leaven is, any product that has yeast or any what we refer to as a leavening agent in it, we should refrain from consuming during that 7-day period. Matter of fact, you're supposed to get it out of the house. Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation. So the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is comparable to a Sabbath. And in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation to you. The first and the 7th days of the feast are comparable to being Sabbath days, because those are days that we are not supposed to work. And when you count the entire number of high holy days, we refer to them only as a specification to show a distinction between the 7th day Sabbath. When you count the high holy days, there are actually 7 high holy days. And let me write those on the board for you. Now the first high holy day is the first of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Matter of fact, we just put unleavened bread up here. First of unleavened bread. The second would be the 7th of unleavened bread. third would be Feast of Weeks. Okay. The fourth would then be Trumpets, Feast of Trumpets. The fifth would be Atonement, Day of Atonement. Okay. The sixth would be First of Booths. And the seventh would be the 8th day. Okay? And these 1 through 7 are the 7. Again, you see the foundation which was laid out in Genesis. You see 7 high holy days. Okay? 7 high holy days that Israel is commanded to keep year after year, in addition to the 7th day Shabbat. Okay, let's go back to Exodus chapter 12 and verse 16. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat. That only may be done of you. Now let's move on, because this is, again, referring to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So what took place when the Pesach offering was made, okay, during the time of the Exodus? So let's go to the 13th chapter in verse 3. It says, and Moshe said unto the people, remember this day. Why remember this day? Because now, after everything had taken place, on the 15th is when they actually came out. It says, remember this day in which he came out from Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand, Yahweh brought you out from this place. The strength of hand, how? Because you had 10 plagues that were poured forth. The 10th plague was the death of the firstborn. The death of the firstborn was accomplished by the angel of death that passed through Mitzrayim, which is why Israel had to put the blood on that door, so when that angel passed by, he saw the blood and knew that he had to pass over that house. The question is, Israel, why was that necessary? For by strength of hand, Yahweh brought you out from this place. There shall be no leavened bread eaten, because this is now commencing the 7-day period of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. He says in verse 4, this day came ye out in the month Abib. Now, that ties into the beginning of the year. And the term Abib, if you want to look that up, it's number 24 in the Strong's Concordance. And what it simply means is green, a young ear of grain. And let me say this too, since we're here. Because you have some Hebrew Israelites, unfortunately, contrary to what the Torah teaches, we've read in the first chapter of Bereshit, of Genesis, that he set great lights in the heavens, and the purpose of those great lights was for signs, for seasons, for days, for years. That's how we determine the calculation of time. It was never by the green ears. It's by keeping in alignment with the movement of the sun and the moon in relation to the movement of the sun. That's what the Word teaches. Again, for people to be out there, and they teach that you have to see green ears, whether you see the green ears or not. Because sometimes what may happen, because the earth is coming to that point of the vernal equinox, you may have an effect on the earth where life starts to grow. Okay? So when you do that, you may mistakenly keep the feast that he's given to us earlier than you're supposed to. Now you're out of sync with the time. But let's continue. Now, the